Welcome back. This is August 2025, and we are currently in a buyer's market in the DFW area. But I really want to talk to you about what some buyers are doing and how sellers are responding to this. So, granted, there is a lot more inventory, especially in the suburbs. I'm in the Flower Mound area, and we've got over 250 listings for sale. Today, I'm going to go look at, I don't know, 5 or 6 open houses and kind of get a feel for what's going on, as I do every weekend and anytime there's an open house. But as a buyer, yes, we are in a buyer's market. That doesn't mean the seller is going to give away their house. If you come in with a lowball offer, all you're going to do is start off with a bad conversation. That's why it's so important that you get a realtor. I mean, if you're coming into an offer, and I just had it happen to me today on a listing that I'm selling. The sellers are going to respond. You're putting them on the defensive. That's number one. And this is their home, and they're insulted, and they have the right to be insulted. But if they do accept your offer, a lot of times the sellers are going to say, "Hey, you can do your inspection, you can make the offer, but we're not going to do any repairs. We're not negotiating with you at all." And again, it turns out to be a very difficult deal. Our job as realtors, brokers, is to facilitate the transaction with all the legal ramifications and the contracts and all the addendums and everything that you need to go from start to finish. But we also want, as brokers and realtors, to be able to have a conversation with the other side, and not to necessarily get an edge, and to find out, why the person's selling, or it doesn't matter. They've decided to sell. But if you're a buyer and your goal is to take advantage of somebody, you're starting off on the bad foot with the sellers, and they know it. They know it. Now, if your property's been sitting on the market for 6 months or a year, maybe that's a different conversation. But what is the seller's motivation? Are they moving? Are they relocating? Are they older and they're moving into a home? Has there been, is this an estate? I mean, there's a host of issues. But here is something that I've seen and that I've been involved in that sellers are combating some of this with. So seller's agent, they agree to go to market for a little bit less, or maybe even a lot less. And the goal for them is to, number one, get multiple offers, get a lot of showings and get multiple offers. Keep in mind, if you go to open houses, the open houses are not necessarily for the seller. They're for the buyer's agent to try to get more business themselves. When I first got into real estate, I would do 4 open houses a weekend. I did that for a year or two. Never sold a house as a result of that. But what I did learn personally was that I was able to communicate better with people, and the more people I could get myself in front of and talk to at the time, the better it was for me. And I also showed or held open houses for more experienced agents, and I got to really learn the whole process of all the different nuances of a home and what buyers are looking for. I mean, it was kind of it was a big learning curve. But here's the deal. If something goes to market and it should be priced at, I'm just going to give you a ballpark, $650, and then they come in and they price it at $595, your realtor, as a buyer's agent, should be running comps, and they should know that, hey, this is priced really low. Now, everything, when you're purchasing a home, it's all about price and condition, right? And pictures, number one, but that's a whole nother video for something else. But here's the deal. If you are buying a home, and let's say this thing goes into multiple offers, there is an addendum or an amendment to this, that if you offer over asking price, they can ask you to sign an appraisal waiver. So what does that mean? Let's say, okay, so the house is $600,000. You're going to put down 10%. That's $60,000. You decide you're going to offer $620,000. If you sign this waiver as a buyer, you are agreeing that if the house only appraises for $600,000, that you will not only pay that down payment of $60,000, but you will cover the additional $20,000 that you offered over asking. So it's kind of a slippery stone, right? Because the sellers are trying to get as many offers as they can. This kind of helps the sellers not worry about the appraisal, because when you get a property appraised and you're under contract, if it doesn't appraise, you're not going to be able to get the loan unless you come up with the difference in cash. So that's one way. I'm telling you, you got to be buyer beware on this deal. That's why it's so important to have agent that, again, is going to do the comps, knows the area, knows the neighborhood. And again, depending on the price and condition of the home, I saw a home that I put under contract, and the big selling point for this home was it had a really nice backyard. But me, as an experienced agent, I'm walking around, I'm looking at the air conditioning, I'm looking at all these other things. To me, in my mind, that home needed over $100,000 worth of work on the interior. I mean, it was all beat up. The primary bathroom was the original floor plan, and the rooms were choppy, they were small. I mean, and let's face it, folks, you don't live in the backyard. You live inside the home. You can always build a pool. You can always landscape your backyard. But going inside and doing all of that work for an extra $100,000 when the house probably just appraised it at what it sold for. And I'll tell you, I'm super glad that our deal didn't get accepted, because when I've driven by that house before, I think they're spending a boatload of money. There's a lot of workers there, and I see a lot of drywall sitting on the side of the house. So it was not meant to be for me. That's when you're going into a buyer situation, you want the smoothness of having a good relationship, agent to agent. It's not me as a buyer's agent against the selling agent. It's not a competition. Our job is to facilitate everything for you and to make things as smooth as possible for you. I hope this has been of help, and I'll see you next time. I'm Chris Hooper, Chris Hooper Realty.